with it being 2:01, we'll go ahead and call the City Design Review Board meeting to order. Everyone was mailed and emailed a packet of the minutes of last month's meeting, or last 2 months' meeting. We didn't meet last month. Everyone had a chance to review it?
Sure.
Okay. Any changes? Motion to
Motion to approve?
second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Our first case today is case DRB 2025-02. It's a request for a certificate of appropriateness to add an LED panel to the existing monument sign located at 181 West Chevis Street, identified as Florence County Tax Map Number 90168-02-001 in the D2 Downtown Central Business Overlay District. Staff?
Good afternoon. Yeah, I feel like I haven't seen you all in forever here.
Been 60
The applicant is seeking a certificate of appropriateness to install a changeable copy LED panel to an existing monument sign at Harrington Vision Center, which is located on the northeast corner of West Chevis and South Irby Streets. And it is located in the Downtown Central Business Overlay District, which is the D2 district. And that is immediately adjacent to the Downtown Historic District, the H1. And it is zoned Central Business District. So monument sign is a permitted sign, has been there for a long time. Here you can see where it is in the vicinity, as well as the overlay districts in the immediate vicinity as well. It does not fall under the Irby Street Corridor Overlay District. That begins on the opposite side of Chevis Street, so it does not fall under that overlay. These are photos of the existing signs. The one that they're looking at is the one on the left, the blue one. And the request is to replace that middle panel with a 12 square foot LED panel. So that is what the request is. And that concludes staff's report.
Anyone have any questions of staff?
How many signs, I understand about the LED not being technically allowed with that. How many signs are they allowed to have?
2, because they're on a corner.
Okay, how many signs do they have to?
2, yeah.
Are there other LED signs like this in the same district?
Not in the D2. They're in the D1, which is the least restrictive overlay district. So if you would look around, like the is it Jimmy John's has one, the CVS and the Walgreens had them, but they were just like a roller. I'm not sure what the technical term is, but there aren't any that we're aware of in the D2 district.
Can you explain what constitutes what is it says changeable? Is that what it says? How do you read that part again? Or
The changeable copy LED.
okay, what is that? How does that change? Is it scroll? Does it just change images? Is it move?
I think it can do any of those,
Okay.
but it would have to meet the state code for the time of changing. I think there's I don't remember if it's like 5 or 6 seconds between, just so it's not a flashing, just like your standard signs that are all over town.
Yeah, changeable copy just that could be like
Programmable.
where you programmable, or where you mechanically, those old type where you change letters, type sign. And yeah, Elaine's correct. It does have to meet state standards where it has to be static for so many seconds, and then when it does make its change, it has to accomplish it in so many seconds. So essentially, you can't have animated or scrolling type text.
That's kind of what I was wondering. It's not like it's going to just sort of ribbon through or something like that, right?
Yeah, that's right. And we do periodically have problems with that, and we have to send codes out to kind of reinforce that, because there's signs all over the city that you see animated and things. And some of those are actually in the county, and we don't have jurisdiction over them, and some of them we do have to send codes out periodically to get back in check.
Does this constitute a second? Is this still just one of their 2 signs, or does this constitute a sign in itself?
No, this is just an amendment or adjustment to an existing permitted sign.
Does the applicant have plans to keep the other sign on the side?
We were just talking about that, and he's here, so you can ask him.
Okay, he hadn't said anything yet.
No.
Have any other questions of staff? Okay, Mr. Harrington, if you can approach the podium, I think Scott has one question for you. Yes, sir.
I was just wondering are your plans to keep the second sign, or is this?
Well, we want to do something with it. I mean, we want to update it. I mean, I personally feel like it could use some improvements. I think we could all agree. It's been there a very long time, and I've kind of got a plan of things that I want to do to make that corner more attractive and just look better, you know, for being downtown. And this is one of them. And so one of the things we wanted to do is just modify our existing sign. It's not changing the monument sign, it's just replacing that middle area, which I just think it doesn't look great in that middle. And our plan, of course, is just to have kind of, not to cause a scene or anything with the middle part, but just to make it easier to display things, you know. Yes, sir, exactly.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
That's all I have.
Okay, anyone have any other questions for Lee? Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Guess we'll close the public hearing and open it up for discussion or motion.
I think with these signs, there's two things. I mean, you want it to look more modern and up to date, which I think having it digital actually kind of accomplishes that. But then you want to be respectful of how it distracts traffic or the people that live down there and the light that it gives off. But I think for this size, I mean, if anything, it would just kind of be an improvement and make it look more modern than the ones where you're going out every week to replace the letters and then half of them fall off. Looks like an old building.
Kind of piggyback on Bryce. I don't know all these districts. You know, when I'm riding around town, I never know when I'm getting out of one district and into the. Am I in the overlay in this overlay district, or am I in the down? You know, I don't really feel personally that the location of this sign, this building, feels a lot different than Jimmy John's or what's the other one that we did not too far down the street? That was the Circle Park. We did one for them. That's not very far away, and that hadn't been too many years since we did that. So to me, it sort of feels like it's in the Irby or the other overlay district. So I don't personally have a problem with it. I think it might be because it is on the fringe of compatibility or compliance. I would like to see maybe a compromise and either do away with the second sign or have some plan, because I think it's a little distracting to me, that second sign right there on the sidewalk. If I could make this corner sign the best that it could be, I don't know that other sign is getting a whole lot of mileage. But that's just me.
That second sign, that's not in effect.
Second sign, there's a picture of it right here on Irby Street.
Oh, okay.
Sign's on Irby,
In the
right?
background, I guess.
Right. You can see it in
It's a
the
small
picture
small
of the
billboard sign right there.
the main one.
Oh, yeah.
And to the right.
And the sign, the LED sign would run adjacent to West Palmetto, or is it on the corner of Irby and,
It's on the corner of
So it faces both
Chevis
streets?
and Irby.
okay.
And I guess for the applicant, does that second sign serve a purpose that the first sign doesn't reach?
I mean, it's
Or it's
more
just there.
advertising, of course, you know, and I can tell you that, I mean, I agree that it can use some improvements, and our plan is to do some. I've reached out to, another sign company to see what we could do to make it look better and not as run down. But it's kind of,
only concerns is setting a precedent for other businesses that may want, in downtown, that may want to do like an LED type screen. So, like on Dargan Street, if somebody wanted to put a screen
Well-
similar to that on their building, we're like, no, but we, but we did it a little
Well,
bit further down. by-
the new design standards, which did pass first reading with City Council on Monday, forbid this kind of, or prohibit this type of signage altogether. So going forward, once that's approved, that would be a non-issue.
In what districts? In what
All of them.
overlays?
All of them.
But I think what's important to capture from this discussion is we don't think this particular sign is gonna be a burden or a distraction to the people that live downtown or the drivers. So even though we're making, considering possibly accepting this sign, I don't know that others could use this. They'll try, but if there's a lot of motion or if there's bigger, brighter lights that you feel the people that live down there are driving find it as a distraction.
But the new standards, which will be probably in effect in the next month or two, will prohibit this completely. So this is basically getting in at the last minute.
Exactly.
But they can still bring it before the design review board, right?
No, they prohibit them
Or it's
altogether.
just No exception.
Right. The way the standards are worded, they just say that changeable copy and interior lit signs of any kind are prohibited in all districts, period.
And it is on the fringe of the area, and there's no residential housing or anything.
Well, there's
on either
apartments right next door.
Okay.
The Emerson apartments are right next door. There are also, and they wouldn't specifically refer to this, but in the Unified Development Ordinance, there is a portion when you've got lit signs next to a residential use that talk about the candle light levels from sunset to sunrise, and because this isn't an institutional use, it wouldn't technically apply, but, we could, you could maybe put that as a condition, that the conditions listed out in the Unified Development Ordinance would apply here as well, since it is immediately adjacent to a residential use.
I don't know whether this makes sense or if it's even possible, but is there like a, time mechanism that you can, say the sign is gonna be lit from whatever time, 7 until, I don't know, 11 o'clock at night or whatever that time frame may be.
I think they can be, or dimmed to some degree.
Comes back on at a certain time in the morning, so
Yeah,
it could become an issue.
Citywide, it's been many years ago, there were some churches that wanted to have these type signs, and many churches are embedded in neighborhoods and schools. And, so we looked at it from that aspect, and, some of the things, we ended up allowing them at institutional uses like that, but they did have to have either timers on them that completely shut them down at night, or have, basically they can dim as well, and they can be put on a timer or photocells such that they only give off so many lumens during the night hours. So they're not, because you've seen them at night where some of them are dim and still very readable because it's dark out. But then others that don't have that technology and they're really bright. So we do require that at, in those areas where they interact with residential properties, that's such as churches and schools that are embedded in neighborhoods.
And none of this, regardless of what's done today or what's done previous, none of this will affect signs that are existing.
That's correct.
And if I can diverge for a second, do you remember a few years ago when the Adams Outdoor, we're done?
At 5 points.
Well, I'm not thinking final, this was after that, at the old, car dealership over there across the street from the church.
Yeah.
They said they were gonna build a building, they were gonna renovate that building, and they were gonna go ahead and put, because you could have a sign as long as it was, anyway, I felt like we got duped on that. And there's a big billboard, electronic billboard, that would never have been allowed to be there, and which is as big as my house. And now we're talking about a 4x3 sign on the corner of Irby. That, to me, I got some hard feelings with that.
I mean, we do have an established business there at this location, though.
That's right.
That will
And
monitor.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm saying this is a much more
Better situation.
compliant, applicable, sort of installation than what we were sold on that other project. They wanted a billboard, and they got it. In the middle of downtown Florence, basically.
Yeah, I think with stuff like that, and with, I mean, the brightness of headlights that you see on vehicles and whatnot, this won't be anything, but if the design review board felt there needed to be any compromise versus time windows or whatnot, I think it should be more on that second sign. And even speaking for a business owner, if I'm looking for somewhere to get my eyes checked, I see this green sign, I feel good. I see the other sign, I might have second guesses about the quality of here. And that, no offense to you, but if all this is to be an improvement on the corner in your business, I think the compromise, if there is one, should be focused more on that second sign.
I can just tell you on my own, I plan on updating that sign. I mean, I don't like the way it looks, Have going to the house.
I'm not good at wording motions, so I just
Okay.
wanted to add that to the.
Okay. So Bryce, you have started a motion to include the improvements of the secondary sign on Irby Street. And if someone else would like to finish that one, finish the motion.
Yeah, Mike's
I
better
know we
at words.
talked about time restrictions. Is that something that we can?
Oh, yes.
impose?
Certainly.
But, and it could be that for just, in theory, we could say that he's got 3 months, 4 months to come back to the DRB board with a solution on the second sign, or he has to take it down. Something like that.
Can put anything in the motion you want to put in it.
Well, I'm just throwing that out there as something reasonable.
Do you have a time frame,
6
Mr.?
months?
I really don't want to take that sign down.
Okay.
You just want to improve it.
That's not something that I want to decide on this time. I mean, you're talking about the second sign?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my intent is to improve it, and to make it look, a lot better than it does now. I would like, I mean, if you guys did want to throw something like that in there, I would want an adequate amount of time to do that. I mean, we're in the middle of opening up another vision center in Hartsville, and I've kind of got my hands full. And so I would need to make sure I get it right by engaging in the right sign companies, getting a design that looks satisfactory and that sort of thing.
6 months?
So if I could do 12, that would be better. I mean, the next few months, I'm going to be pretty busy trying to get this up and running. So it's a lot more than I anticipated as far as, what all's involved in
You don't even
that,
know.
all the moving pieces.
You don't even know the timeline of the sign companies. I mean, 6 to 12 months. But then, I mean, I'd even suggest it tie-ins to somehow connect to this main sign. So whether it's the green border to match that color, just something where it gives some continuity and uniformity of the property.
It almost looks like 2 different businesses.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, any sign would have to be brought to y'all for approval anyway.
Just curious, I mean, does that second sign comply with the sign ordinance as far as its location, size, and?
No.
Okay. Can of worms.
I guess the only, for what my opinion's worth, the only hesitation I have is that this particular sign, or this kind of sign, in 2 months, there's three readings, right?
Two.
There's 2, okay. So in a month, this sign will not be permitted, no longer. However, I do agree with a few of the comments that I think it will actually improve the sign. So,
I mean, can I,
please.
I don't mean to interrupt.
No.
I mean, I know you guys
Yeah,
probably
Lee.
did this before.
Come up to the podium so we can get you on the mic.
From other places, that sort of thing. You know, we've been downtown for over 55 years.
I mean, our desire, you know, our practice was there with the mass exodus of the Magnolia Mall. You know, we stayed, and downtown is very important to us and our family. And, you know, for what it's worth, I'm only here for the betterment of that area and downtown. I mean, I don't necessarily need to do anything with the sign. I think, I mean, you know, if done tastefully, that it could actually be more attractive in the modifications that I'm looking to do. I would never, you know, try to be tacky about it, and I know you guys are having to think here as far as the future as well, but I'm just saying on behalf of myself and our practice and our business downtown, you know, my goal is to make improvements across the board on that property. My father retired a few years ago, and I've taken over the business, and you know, one of my goals is to make it better, you know, across the board. So regardless of what you guys, you know, want to throw in there as far as a contingency or whatnot, I'm just letting you know that my plan is to make it better either way, you know. And so just to give you some comfort there. So.
I think along the lines of what you said and what David just said, because just to show we're not playing favorites with you, to justify why we kind of let this slide in at the last moment. I mean, we really can't do anything to touch that second sign. It's kind of grandfathered in, but if it doesn't meet code as currently, I guess it will be there. This is almost in a way a bargaining chip that, you know, to improve that second sign, we're willing to let this go on this main sign, given a 12-month timeline to bring that second sign, not just uniformity with the property, but to meet the current codes.
Right.
And by tying it to this, hopefully it would allow you to not have to pay another fee to come before the board in the next 12 months. It could be tied into this same case.
Mm-hmm.
But knowing that overall it's improving the entire property, not just this main sign. That's my motion.
I was going to say, well said.
That's gonna be fun in the minutes. So move to approve the request as submitted with the stipulation that he bring back another proposal for the second sign within 12 months.
Yes.
Yeah.
But also with the stipulation of
The
the
meeting
photo
code.
cell or some type of time, restriction or whatever.
Like meet the restrictions of the UDO for that situation.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Certificate of issued.
Like you just saying this would be easy.
That's okay. Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
I really appreciate everything you guys do, and if I can do anything to help, even outside of this, you know.
Need to get a deal on coasters is what we need.
Thank you. You've got my number. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for staff, or staff have any questions for us?
I've got a question. Is that ordinance says it went through first reading? Is it going to fly the way it's currently written?
Yes, it is. It passed first reading, so we anticipate it moving forward with no changes. Yes.
So this is different though than, let's take, for example, the ice cream shop, which I personally think it looks good.
With the neon.
With the neon, yeah. The neon, that's different than the LED.
That's right. And the way the new code's written, and I'll just read it to you real quick because it's
Sure.
short. You know, it has prohibited sign types, and the first thing is changeable message and flashing signs are prohibited.
Changeable
So
message,
it speaks
flashing.
directly to these type signs.
Yeah.
But then next, it says internally illuminated letters, neon, roof, and movable signs must be reviewed by the DRB, except where there's a historical significance to them. So if they're, you know, if it's an old historic neon sign and it's replacing it, we could potentially do that
This is city
administratively.
limits, the complete city limits,
Overlay district.
This is just the overlay districts.
all the overlay.
The overlay
Okay.
districts, yeah. This is the new design standards.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's so basically it prohibits the changeable copy or these LED type lights unless they were static. I mean, I guess if they were technically static all the time, but why would
lit up static?
you pay for that if it's static all the
Right.
time?
What's the time frame of changeable? And I just asked that because I look at an extreme. You could say if I change it every month, that's changeable, or is it like
Well,
every so many seconds?
it's every so many seconds. It has to stay, is it how many?
I'm gonna say it's like 6 seconds, 5
Yeah,
or 6 seconds.
it has to stay static for, let's say, 6 seconds, which I guess is long enough, you know, I mean, if you're sitting at a stoplight, you know, that's long enough for you to read it, per se.
Like you think of these changing billboards.
But then it has to accomplish a change from one static display to another static display in 2 seconds, I believe, is what the DOT
Can be a
standards
slow
are.
transition.
That's right. So that's a, I mean, and it's a pretty, I mean, you know, so that way it changes, but that way you don't have, what you're not supposed to have is the animation or the flashing, you know, because that serves as a distraction.
Jerry, is if you had a sign that was programmable, in other words, if you had a special,
Mm-hmm.
and you said, okay, today I'm gonna run this special, and my sign's gonna say this. And then our sign's gonna go off at night, you know, at some point, and tomorrow morning, it's gonna come up with a different special, and it's programmable, and it's changeable, but it's not constantly changing. To me, that's just technology
Yeah.
that helps messaging.
Right.
Helps you be efficient with your messaging. To me, that's not what we're trying to stop. Just to be able to change the price on it. See what I'm saying? Get a sign guy to come change the
And,
price
I mean,
on it.
by
And
that
by the-
rationale, a gas station with pricing on it.
I was about to say,
right?
too, by the
Yeah.
strict definition, a gas station
Is
would
it
have this
changeable?
problem.
That's what I'm saying. It's just,
That's
to
right.
me, there's a difference between something that's rotating and changing than something that just
Well,
has.
the good thing about these is they are editable.
Right.
We just have to take it through the
That's
process.
a good example, the gas prices.
I will say that I do have some money in my budget, and I'm going to hire a firm to look at our sign code citywide. Because with the last adoption of the Unified Development Code, the sign section was not touched at all. And if there's enough money in my budget, I'd like for him to look potentially, because this didn't get substantially changed in this update either, the sign code. It got some, you know, it got touched a little bit, but not like the other sections did. So I would very much like, when we hire a firm to do that, to maybe have them look at our downtown sign code as well as our citywide sign code, and you know, give us, I mean, we're going to hire them to rewrite this. So, and with staff's help. So, as we work through that process, if we do indeed get them to touch this, then I could potentially involve this board, you know, in those sessions to interact and have suggestions there. So, I hope to do that in the next few months. So.
I think of it in terms of if I'm at a restaurant with glass windows, and now the periphery of my vision is a sign. Every time the lighting changes or something, it's a distraction. So, I mean, I would think of it more in those terms. Even those little red Jimmy John signs that scroll across, that's not really distracting me. But every time the light changes, if I'm laying in bed and my window's open and the lighting changes, now I can't go to sleep. Or if I'm at the stoplight in my car, there's a certain distraction of the transition from one to another, or if there's animation. So, from that standpoint, I think that's more the quality of a downtown, is you don't want these signs that every time it changes, you lose focus of what you're doing.
Yeah, we don't want Times Square. Yeah,
You don't want a suburban feel downtown.
or Las Vegas.
And of
Yeah.
course, the marketers are thinking the exact opposite. I want to get your attention 1,000 times. in
Yeah.
1 hour.
Yeah. And maybe there's a compromise in there. Maybe, like Scott said, it's you know, it's allowing them to have a changeable copy, but it has to be static throughout.
For 24 hours.
Yeah, the 24 hours, or, you know,
Change the message every 24 hours.
that's right. And,
Constant
and accompany that with some nighttime illumination standards.
Yep.
And, you know, what, I think what you guys are trying to accomplish, Mike, could, you know,
If I'm Chocobella, I want everybody at Town Hall to look over at me 100 times.
Flavor of the day.
It's true. Well, thanks everybody for their time. You have some.
All right.
Okay, all right. We're adjourned. Our next meeting is April 9th.
All right.